So there's only one opener I can think of for this vlog, and that is, what was the vote count? 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin. You want to recount? Okay. 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin. That is how old I am. Welcome, friends. Vlog here. Would it be weird if the next 4, or at least a little bit, of these vlogs were just chippier, just because of the results? Alright, so obviously, the vlogs are what's going on. So, mentally, physically, emotionally, channel-wise. Channel-wise, things are happening. We just recorded, on stream, Metal Gear Solid 1, PlayStation 1, like, not Twin Snakes, just the original. And I had a lot of opinions while we played that, so that's interesting. I don't know when it's going to get released, but I had a lot of opinions. It was very interesting doing that. Just thinking about it and playing, I'm like, wow, you know what? Maybe we give Kojima too much credit. That's what I feel. That's how I felt after playing that. Just thinking about that and just the entire Metal Gear series as I was playing it, I'm like, maybe we do. So, let's talk about the election real quick. I think I've made my feelings known for a very long time how I feel about things. And I think over time, I never really gave the full context until more recently about, well, why I have been always so angry about the Republican Party. I don't think I ever clearly explained that I have been surrounded by Republicans my entire life. And I was raised to believe in these great Republican values, and then seeing the Republicans actually do the opposite and be hypocrites of it really frustrated me, and I definitely hate hypocrites because of that. And so the election's basically over at this point. We know who's won. And the reason, so why would someone vote for Trump? Now, if you're into his cult of personality, I can't respect that vote. I really cannot respect that vote. Now, if you're scared of, I don't know, for the police, if you're scared for a number of things, I can't respect that vote either, because you got pulled in by just how insane the media is. It's amazing how bad the media has been the last 4 years, whether it be for ratings or just to make the money. It's been pretty not great, and I am totally for CNN and MSNBC and Fox just being mistrusted for how badly they've done things. But the problem is that they've also had a lot of backing and have not changed their ways. CNN, I feel, at the end of the day, does try to be more truthful than everyone else, but they also do as much as they can to revel and gain from the ratings, and have done very bad false equivalencies as well. Like, they try their best to present the truth, but then they'll try to do a false equivalency, which just does not do well. MSNBC, of course, is more strongly bent towards the left, while Fox is more strongly bent towards the right. And we've seen the soul-searching of Fox News over the last 4 years. Say, like, people like Shep, and how he was just trying... Shep and... suddenly I can't remember. Meet the Press. What's his name? There are... Because Fox News is editorial and journalists. And the journalists, more often than not, have tried their best to be journalists. While the opinion side is just a pile of shit. I don't give a fuck. Fuck Hannity. Fuck Tucker. These guys are just mouthpieces. That's all they are. And they're not... They don't have a soul. They really don't. I remember when I've said this before in blogs, when I was a child, Bill O'Reilly was like the guy for me, until I realized he's another one of this. If he was still around now, Jesus Christ, I don't even want to think about that. But it's this cult of personality. That's really what it is. And the cult of personality of Trump really pulled people in. If you voted out of fear, I don't respect that. If you voted out of cult of personality, I don't respect that at all. If you voted because that's all you've ever known, I can't respect that either. I'm trying to find what is a Republican vote I could respect. And I can respect Senate votes to an extent. Well, House votes, I guess, to an extent. Senate votes, it's hard because you have to look at the specific senator and see where did they stand. But at the end of the day, when it came to important things like, I don't know, SCOTUS, being willing to sell your soul for that is just really frustrating. Yeah, let's just jam this in. Let's not do the process correctly. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham have no soul, and yet they will always win because, well, it's very ingrained where they are that they're going to win. They're not going to lose. The corpse of Mitch McConnell could win next time. Like, if he died, he'd still get more votes than anyone. Like, he just has that spot. Same thing goes for Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a ridiculous hypocrite. I think McConnell has been very consistent. He's mostly said, yeah, we're just going to steamroll, we're just going to stonewall, we're going to steamroll. I don't really think he's gone back on anything he said aside from the big issues because there's no way around it. Well, Lindsey Graham has said this way and that way about a bunch of things. Mitch McConnell has been more obvious about, he's like, yeah, I'm being a hypocrite, but I don't give a shit. Like, that's really been more him, while Lindsey Graham is just trying to hide that fact. And those guys, of course, stand out the most because they're the most vocal. A little bit I can respect the Senate votes a little bit because, well, senators do more than just the big issues after all. Then, of course, there's all local government, whatever you want with that. That's where things are more important, honestly, for yourself is local votes, left or right, Democrat or Republican or independent or any of that. That's where your vote is the most important. And that's why midterm elections are so important as well. You're willing to sell your soul for abortion? You're willing to sell your soul for guns rights? Even they're never going to take your guns away. The left is never going to take your guns away. It's never going to happen. So I can't see voting Republican for that right now. Voting Republican for abortion, you just got SCOTUS. It doesn't matter anymore with that. There's nothing I feel like you should be selling your soul for on the right. Abortion is not that important to sell your soul for. Like, because there are single issue voters where they're like, I don't care about anything else. I only care about this one thing. I only care about abortion. I only care about guns rights. I only care about the economy. And I just don't, I can't bridge that. I couldn't bridge being willing to give into some cult of personality like Trump just for the babies to not die. I just can't see that. Just so they don't take my guns away. I can't see that. They're never going to take the guns away. It's a silly thing to even believe that's even possible. That fear is stupid. The fear that the police will be completely erased is absolutely stupid. That is an incredibly stupid belief. And if you actually believe that, I hope you stop believing that at some point. That's not good. There are people who think it's the end of the world that Biden has won. There were people who thought it was the end of the world that Trump won. One definitely has more weight to it than another. It would not have been the end of the world if Hillary won. There are stupid people who believe it would have been the end of the world if this one or that one won. Up until Trump, I've never really seen a candidate who would have diminished what the presidency is until him. Everyone up to him was just perfectly fine. The only vice president I was not a fan of was Sarah Palin because she was just a Hail Mary play. She wasn't really anything worthwhile to care about. I am kind of curious what the world would be like if McCain won. I am curious about that. Not with Palin, but like if it wasn't Obama up against him, it was just another kind of boring fight, what it would have been. If we just stuck with white guy versus white guy, I wonder how that would have gone as well. Because we got Obama, we got this aggressive reverse with Trump because of that. That's really what happened there. Now, the thing is, I'm not going to be one of the people who just yells at Trump supporters, and obviously, because I haven't done that at all yet, just yelling at Trump supporters, and you're like, you're a loser, and all those things, and just scream at them. Plenty of people on the left are doing that. Now, the thing is, turnabout is fair play, because that is what the right did to the left last time. And so, it's perfectly fine. It's really weird to see people who are like, cry liberals, and then this time say, we need to come together. Like, no, you don't get to say that. Now, if you said that 4 years ago, you get to say it again now. You absolutely do. Even if you learn from then to now, you should know very well, you don't get to say that. You did not earn the right to say that. If 4 years ago when Trump won and you said, look, it's not great, but we should try to be bipartisan, we should try to come together and see what we can do under Trump, then okay, you can say the same thing right now with Biden. But if you were just like, cry some more, then you don't get to complain about people telling you to cry some more. You just don't get to make that complaint. It's hypocritical once again. Not a fan of that. It's not a sports team situation. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by the sports team situation, because the parties really are treated that way, but just think about this as sports teams. If my team does a penalty, like holding or whatever, we'll talk football, holding or whatever, and the ref doesn't catch it, I'm happy about that because they didn't catch it. But if the other team does holding and they get in trouble for it, of course, we're really happy they got in trouble for it, and then the vice versa. So if they do holding, they don't get caught for it, we get really mad about that. And if we get caught for holding, of course, we get mad about that. It should be fair across the board in that if we're doing holding, of course, we should get hit for that. If the other team does holding, they should get hit for that. If it doesn't get noticed, we can't complain if it doesn't get noticed on the other side. That's just fair. When you only care about things in the light of your side, to the point that if it was the other way around, you would get mad about it, that's not okay. And the reason why I say in sports teams is because that's happening in politics, where it'll be okay if their side plays dirty, but it's not okay if the other side plays dirty. To be honest, the left did not need to do doctored footage of Trump, which was very odd when it did happen. Because Trump is a gaffe machine. Biden is too. Biden is a gaffe machine as well. And that is the truth about it, just thinking about it, is the more anyone talks, the more mistakes they're going to make. The problem is Trump just does it a lot. And it's got to be on purpose to an extent, or he's just, an idiot. To an extent, there's that as well. It's also to the extent that Trump has just got a different mindset from the rest of us. He is a very transactional president. And because of that, well, he doesn't care about, being nice in some ways. And there's good and bad to that. The problem was he was pretty useless in a lot of ways as well. It's going to be interesting how things go. I'm absolutely happy I'm not at work right now. I'm really happy I'm not at work right now. I'd rather not have the back pain, obviously, but I'm glad I'm not at work right now. Because I really don't want to hear my boss complain. I really don't want to hear him complain about losing. I don't want to hear my coworkers complain about losing either. I don't want to hear their conspiracy theories about how the left took the presidency or any of that bullshit. I don't care. I really don't want to hear it. So I'm glad I don't have to stand there and act like I care. Like, I don't want to do that. The reason why it's done at work is because, I'm going to be with these people for the rest of my life. It's just like being at home. I honestly don't see a reason to openly argue about politics at Thanksgiving like some people do. It's not really worth it. You're never going to change a family member's mindset. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to change the mindset of anyone who's really grained in. That's just blah. But at the end of the day, at some point I mellowed out on the anger, and I just more feel disappointment than anything else. I've really burned out on anger. It's just more disappointment. I'm disappointed to see how close this election was. I would have much rather it was a landslide so that Republicans could write their course. Instead, there's a good chance it's just going to get more sycophantic. It's just going to get more silly. The Republican Party is going to get even sillier, and that is very disappointing. I would rather see them be a party worthy of being a part of. They're not. They absolutely are not. I still can't believe my boss's wife voted because she's scared of the police getting just taken out. It's never going to happen. The police are always going to be a necessary thing. They're always going to be important. It's just how are the police utilized could change. They could be used better than they are right now. I really don't understand how you can be for a party that openly would rather you not vote. I don't get that. And that is something that absolutely does frustrate me. It's not a game. There's a lot of things we can trivialize, like sports, politics is not something we should trivialize ever. It just isn't something we should trivialize. You can make jokes, you can have humor, but you cannot diminish how important politics are, because it is whether we live or die on a lot of subjects. How well our way of life is. You know what really confuses me? You know what absolutely confuses me? Everyone blows Canada. We all love Canada. And then we just forget that Canada is, well, very socialist. I'm like, I don't understand. We like to look at Bolivia and say, like, look at that shitty socialism. And then we like, Canada. Want socialism? It's right there. Look up, dummy. It's just weird. What's important is we will not hear me talk about politics for a while. That's going to be great, isn't it? Because, Jesus Christ, we've talked about politics quite a bit. It's not like I'm going to not have my pulse on politics. I'm still going to pay attention. But it's just, maybe I won't bitch so much, right? That's the whole thing. Biden's going to make mistakes. Harris is going to make mistakes. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But it really depends on the Georgia runoff. Georgia might be the most important time, and we're going to still see nastiness because of that. Georgia's going to get nasty, very nasty. I think that's really it to say about politics. I think that's it. For now, of course. I don't see me talking about it next week. I don't see me talking about the week after. I really don't. But it is tempting to get 2 Prime back just to see their interpretation of the reactions to everything. But maybe not so soon as well. Like maybe like a month later. Be like, okay, so what's the interpretation of everything that is shaken out of everything? The next guest I want to get is Captain Dangerous again, and get her husband as well, because it'd be really interesting to hear how this dynamic duo does things. Because they do some really good work. And so I'd like to hear how they do it together. That'd be really nice. Let's see what else. Still working on Kirby podcast. Things are happening with that. Just other things with the channel. The one thing I wanted to talk about the most is the thing I'm about to talk about now, and that was I want to talk about Alex Trebek. I wasn't expecting to talk about politics for so much, and yet I did. Oops on me. Alex Trebek had his final episode, what was it, last night? The other night? Forget now. Because I just saw the clip, I'm like, that was his last episode? That was a pretty good ending for him. It's not the perfect ending he wanted, but it's a pretty good ending. Alex Trebek died this morning. Got to see how the presidency went, and then he died. Alex Trebek died at 80 years old. He had cancer. He was fighting it. He was beating it as far as we know. It was stage 3, if I remember correctly. And who knows if that's what killed him or not. Like, well, it's not always that cancer kills you. It's that complications from the cancer is what takes you down. And I did not do the diligence to look up what actually killed him because I don't actually want to think about it too much. I don't want to think about how it ended for him. Just think about the legacy of Alex Trebek. But there's a clip of his final episode where it's this dude wins, and he's like, "You got anything you want to say?" And he's like, "It was him and his grandfather. Like when he was young, they would watch Jeopardy, and like he just learned so much knowledge. And I think it was that he like learned kind of like English as well with Jeopardy, and." So it's just this big honor for him to be here, to meet Alex Trebek, and to win. And that's a nice dream, because Alex Trebek has been doing Jeopardy since 1984. Alex Trebek has been doing, or had done Jeopardy before I was born. Jeopardy has existed for my entire existence of my life. That's why it's the same thing with The Simpsons. Simpsons has existed almost the entirety of my life. I'm a little bit older than The Simpsons. It's interesting to see these things that have been around for so long. Just think about other media, other things. Like there are people right now who are big fans of One Piece, and that thing's been around longer than they've been alive. The people who are fans of Kirby, and that's been around longer than they've been alive. Same thing goes with like Mario or just Nintendo or what's something else that's been around forever. Anything that's been around for like 20 plus years. There are adults who have known this thing for their entire life. And for me, I've known a few things my entire life, Jeopardy being one of them, playing Jeopardy, the Jeopardy games. Jeopardy had a game on Super Nintendo, they had it on Sega. might be, no, they were on Super Nintendo. I don't think they were earlier than that. If they were, holy crap. And I remember, so the Jeopardy games are silly in that you have to type in the answers, and you've got to, of course, spell them correctly. That is a silly time. Like, it wasn't multiple choice. You had to type it in, and you had to have the right words. I don't know if it was case sensitive. I assume to an extent it was case sensitive. But you had to type in the answer, so you just had just the keyboard right there on screen. I don't remember if it was in order of A, B, C, or if it was in QWERTY order. But you had to go there, and you had to just left, like right, left, down, up, and just hit the letters. I assume A, B, C, because of course. But you just hit the letters. So like you had to type in Paul Revere if the answer was that, like who is Paul Revere kind of thing. You had to type those in like with the controller. That was silly. But it was a way to learn spelling, for sure. Not learning spelling, but just how to do things, spell things right. And it was a way to just get random trivia knowledge. And that's what Jeopardy is just... Knowledge is the sum of who you are and what you've experienced in life and what you've read and what's been interesting to you, or just things that have just nebulously been around you. That's what Jeopardy is Jeopardy's like, all right, let's see what nebulous information you have and how well you can do here. And there's just some people who just... Their thing in life is just knowing everything, reading everything, experiencing everything, and because of that, they can do pretty well in Jeopardy. One guy did really, really, really well in Jeopardy. Well, a couple guys did really, really well in Jeopardy. It's just this interesting thing that's been around. I don't know what the right word would be for what Jeopardy is, but it was this source of knowledge. It could be very random knowledge, could be very useful knowledge, but it was this source of knowledge that existed for a long time. And Alex Trebek said, like, if he'd like for his final episode to be, just give him 30 minutes, and he'd be like, I'm happy to have been here for so long. I don't know who my replacement's going to be. I don't have any control over that. But if you give him as much love as you gave me, then this show will go on for a long time. Like, that's what he wanted to say in his final episode. Thing is, he didn't know his final episode was going to be his final episode kind of thing. I think the thought process was, well, like, if he knows, like, there's not much time left from the cancer or whatever illness, then he can ask them to let him have this time to do this. So, well, whatever happened, it was sudden. Yet, he's gone. It's a weird feeling having someone who's been there. Like, because this isn't a fictional person. This is a human being. Someone who's been around, a host, who's been there forever. And now he's gone. It's a different kind of feeling than... Like if a TV show just ends. Like that was a character. The actors still exist. They're still doing things. And this character lives on in your mind in fiction. And you can make their universe do whatever you want with it. That just keeps going and going. But a real person, Alex Trebek, he's gone. Like, there's no... Like, you can imagine, you believe in the afterlife, that he is, I don't know, palling around with Peter at the gates. And they're just doing random trivia. Why not? You can do that. While he's in line, they're just doing random trivia, or people leave him alone. Like, he's like, I'm tired of the trivia. I don't want to talk about trivia anymore. That could be a thing as well. That's if that's your interpretation of what happens next. If reincarnation's a thing, what would be more of a son of a bitch for Alex Trebek? Would it be coming back in a place where you can't gain much knowledge, or just being in a place where just all knowledge is just easily readily available? I don't know. We hit that age. Random thing, before we end this out, thinking about it. In 4th grade, I remember a student asked our teacher, what is heaven? And our teacher said, it's a place where if you think a question, you'll have your answer. It's very interesting to have, like, 5-10 years later, search engines. Very interesting to have search engines after that point, because I always think about that. Like, when search engines happen, and then Google in a big way happened. Because you had, like, Lycos and Yahoo. I think Yahoo's the first big one. Ask Jeeves, all those old ones. Some of them might still exist, I don't know. And then you just ask it a question, it'd have an answer for you. That's something I've always found interesting, is just one of my teacher's thoughts is that heaven is a place where you can have the answer to any question. And to an extent, we have that. We don't have like every metaphysical answer, of course, but we have a lot of knowledge answers. We know a lot of things, and we're still gaining more knowledge. Because yeah, Beck was a 4th grade teacher, like this is before we broke the genome and all that stuff. And even though we broke the genome, we don't fully understand it anyway. And there's still the, what's the protein one? Proteome. That was the funny thing of playing Metal Gear Solid, because they're talking about how we fully understand our genes. We don't. We don't fully understand our genes. We don't. To an extent, we do. When I was getting out of school, we were barely realizing that junk DNA isn't junk DNA. Like, we're still far from understanding DNA. Now we had to come up with all these new meanings for what junk DNA is. And even once we figure out DNA, we still have the proteome to figure out. The genome, even once that's mapped, there's still the proteome. There's still understanding all the proteins in our body, what those proteins do on their own and in concert with each other. And even once we figure out the proteome, there's still the hormone system, fully understanding all the hormones and how all that works. We have a universe of cells within us, with a lot of knowledge still to be gained. And that's just in us. And then there's in other organisms. And then there's understanding how the planet works in so many other ways. The conversation about what light is very interesting. The belief in it being a wave and it being like a matter and then all of that, and physicists who believe one or the other, or they believe it is both, or they believe it's some other thing. There's so much knowledge still to be gained, and hopefully that's never lost. What is the legacy of Alex Trebek? The legacy of Alex Trebek is just all these people who wanted to be smarter because they saw a show which, well, it had just... Jeopardy wasn't boring, but it wasn't super interesting either, but it was this thing where you could just like, oh, hey, let's test our knowledge. It was like a crossword puzzle kind of thing. Something that's available to just test yourself and see where you are and see what you know. It was a nice thing to have. It's a nice thing to be there. So the legacy of Jeopardy really is, and Alex Trebek, is just knowledge. This bedrock time slot on this channel that you could always go to test yourself. I gotta assume there's like a website where you can just play Jeopardy anytime you want and test yourself as well, which is nice. Also, it just made like wanting to learn more kind of like this thing, because it was a prime time thing. Is you watch this every day, every weekday at this time, like 30 minutes. It's like, all right, let's try to be smarter. And it's really what it was. I think the legacy is just intelligence, just trying to be smarter. I think that's it. There was a dignity to how Alex Trebek did things. There really was. It's funny watching the outtakes, considering that, when he just says the F word all the time and things like that. So that is the vlog. Did not mean to go so long. Did not mean to get so somber, but people keep dying. I didn't even know Sean Connery died. I didn't even know until like yesterday morning. I had no idea. That's how crazy the news cycle is. It used to be some celebrity dies and it was just a day of mourning for a lot of people. Sean Connery's dead, which is still a day of mourning for some people, but the news cycle just went real fast. The fact he was dead was forgotten real quick. I didn't even know he was dead for a couple days. I was looking up something about James Bond, and I'm like, wait, Sean Connery's gone? What? I think it was because of... What the hell was I doing? Because one of the Bonds has my birthday. So it's like, which one is it? It's either Sean Connery or it's Hornsby? I forget which one. Laserby? Whichever. Let's end the vlog already. That was the vlog. That's what's going on with my mind right now. I didn't even talk about the PTSD. Didn't even talk about that. Forgot about that, right? Let's end on that real quick. Go into detail at it next week, because I'm going to see a therapist about it. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. Talk about that next time, if I remember about it next time. So that's the vlog. I had fun. Hope you're watching. That's what's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.